Mark, I'm making this one special for you. It's been raining all day, off and on. I cut the grass, and I'm fixing to go over here and show you how I do it. Okay, here we go. Now, it's actually no miracle, Mark. I have no secrets. You see this? And the reason I'm using this rake, if I use my hands, I'd be down on top of it, and I miss a lot of the video. But if you'll notice, look how soft that dirt is. You do not have to dig it with a shovel. Look at that. Every year, in all my buckets, that's what I do. This compost you see right there is worthless until next year or the year after. What I put in here 2 years ago and last year is what the black dirt you see. Is that black dirt right there. So that's actually my secret. See? And I harvested this. That's my ginger. Oh, a couple of 3 or 4 months ago. Sent it to the local farmer's market and sold it. Now, you see that? So what I did when I harvested, I throwed that compost in there, covered it up. You see my plants growing. You don't see any grass. Look here. See this? That's my butter beans on the front. They all dried out. I let them go to seed. They finished. Okay? If you come around back, I grew cucumbers back in. I had bukus of cucumbers. My worms loved them. Okay, there's my blueberries. And by the way, it's raining. There's my blueberries, sprinkling rain. Look, compost. See that? That's every year. When she cuts the grass, I take my time. Now, what I'll do, eventually, the weeds and grass will come back. So what I do is I grab some cardboard, make sure there's no tape or plastic on it. I cut it in there, cover everything from here to the back, the whole bed. I cover it with cardboard. I soak the cardboard with water. Then I throw the compost back on top of it. The cardboard is a decaying barrier. The worms love it, and it stops the grass. Now look at this. Now see? The grass is starting to work its way through this compost. See? So, and here is what's left of my beans and stuff. They all gone. Well, there's still a few green beans on it, but it's not much. So that's fixing to be weed eated down. Hit it with the weed eater. Throw the cardboard down. Throw the mulch on top of it. That'll take care of it. Look at my onion. And even in my buckets. I mean, look at here. About 6, 7 years ago. Look at the dirt. You don't need a shovel. Look at that. About 7 years ago, one Thanksgiving, we needed onions. Can't have dressing without onions. So I run down to Walmart, bought the dressing. All she wanted was the tops. So I said, heck, I'm going to plant that. They've been there ever since, and they're bearing continuously. This come out of Arkansas growing wild. So did this. Now, even the buckets I hadn't planted in, look, the dirt. Now, every year I do that. Every year, my fig trees and my asparagus. Now, when this goes dominant and turns brown, I weed eat it. And the same thing here. I'm gonna amputate all these big branches, all these wild-looking branches, come back to the main stem, right about there, and take it off. Here, and the main stem over there, and take it off. When I finish, it's going to be all this down here gone. But anyway, you see my compost? You don't need a shovel. Look at that. Now, I'm kind of partial to clover. I'll let clover go sometimes, most of the time, for the simple reason your clover puts nitrogen back in the soil. And my fig tree's bearing out. I've had all the figs I wanted this year, but my worms love them, so I'm just letting them bear and I give them to my worms. So if you come over here, the same thing. Look at the compost. I mean, and when you get the compost out the way, you don't even need a shovel. I mean, you just go in there with your hands and dig it out. That is not a secret. That's what I do. That's how I've done it for years. I still have my blackberries that kind of halfway buried. What I do is I pick the ripe ones, eat what I want, and give the rest to the worms. Now, that's my ginger, and this is a completed project here. Now, if you'll notice, the grass, the clover, there's nothing else in here but grass and clover. This year, I had tomatoes here, and I don't know where that fig tree come from, but it was growing right there. So anyway, I saved it. I had watermelons planted here, and I harvested some beautiful watermelons off one bush. One bush. 2 tomatoes. All the tomatoes I can eat. I had 3 squash bushes here. I got frozen squash, a freezer full of it, off 3 bushes. That's the biggest mistake people make. They'll plant too much. You don't need to plant that much in small like this. Now here, I had 2 squash there, banana peppers there, tomatoes here, bell peppers here, jalapeno peppers here, and another squash bush right there. Now, I want to show you, oh man, she threw grass all on my peppers. Anyway, look at the peppers. I harvest these about every 4 days. You see this bush right here? It's still loaded with little peppers. Little peppers and blooms all over it. Look at it. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to very gently pick it up. I'm going to prune it back. I'm going to put it in the pot. This pot right here. What I do is I take newspaper, cut it up in the bottom, and cover the holes. Now I'll take this pot, prune that pepper bush back, plant the pepper bush in here, and keep it in the house by a good window, a sunny window. Next year, I'll just stick it back to the ground and start harvesting jalapenos again. You can winter. You can winter tomatoes, some of them, some brands of tomatoes. But basically what I'm going to do is weed eat this down. Just weed eat it down and leave it lay right there. When she gets through with the grass, like I said, Craftsman rake behind the lawnmower, rake it up, and just sling it in here. And let me show you. Look at this. Look. I mean, just look at that. I don't need a shovel. And this is dollar weeds. Believe it or not, they'll grow all winter. And by next summer, they will be up through the compost. But what they do is, they literally choke out everything else. You see how easy they come out of that compost? So next year, at planting time, I'll take my little bitty rake, drag it through there, dig all these out, and there it is. Oh, my blackberries. Look at this. Come here. Look. Grass, leaves. Look. Look at that. People, that's all you need. My barrels, everything. Now, like I said, it's the end of the year, but you don't see down in my buckets, you don't see any grass. And the reason being, when I turn this over next year, look at that. That's my secret. Now, this looks like a weed, and I'm sure it is a weed. And I'm sure I'm going to be told it's a weed. But I don't know the name of it. Grandma called it pepper grass. You take those little seeds you see right there and taste one. It's got a unique, I don't know how to describe it, kind of a mildly sweet, real mild pepper taste. And she would take that back in the 40s and 50s and season the beans and stuff we cooked. Instead of buying black pepper costs money, boy. Go ahead and pick me some of that pepper grass. That was back in the day, people. Look, this is what it looks like after you weed eat it. Well, my little cow's going back to work. She'll keep that grass down. Anyway, that's what it looks like. You remember how it looked? Looked rough. All right. Now, get that lawnmower going. When she finishes with that lawnmower, I'll wait a day or two, and I'll take that Craftsman rake behind that lawnmower, and I'll rake this yard. What I'll do is take all that grass. Kind of hard to see, but it's piled up there. You see it? See right around the edge there? Where she cut? All right. Now, I'll come back over here, and if I got enough grass to fill it up to the top of the blocks, I will. I'll just keep throwing that grass in there, in my buckets, my blackberries, around my fig tree, anywhere, continuously. The only difference is right now, I can put that grass in, I can rake it up today. If the rake won't pick it up wet, not good. Let it dry a few days, and that rake will just clean it. It'll suck it right out of the ground. All right? I'm not worried about the heat. Not now. There's nothing growing. In fact, the heat would help kill that grass roots down there underneath. So I'll rake it up when it dries, fill these bins up, forget it. Now in the summertime, when she cuts, I'll wait 4 or 5, 6 days sometimes before I rake. You don't want to heat around your plants. So what I do is I take and sprinkle it around where the plants are not. I always leave a little area around my plant for them to get air and stuff. But I'm going to weed eat around that. Like I said before, I'm going to leave that bush right there. Like I said, Mama and Grandma and all of them called it pepper grass. And it's got a unique flavor, so I'm leaving that. I'm not going to take that out. That stays there. As my ginger dies down, I will cut the stalks off level with the ground, chop them up in little pieces, and drop them back down in the bucket. I don't leave anything. It's chop and drop is what they call it. Now, I just noticed something I'd never seen before. Oh, dadgummit. I didn't know ginger made flowers. I'll be dadgum. They got a pretty sweet taste. That's delicious. Well, live and learn, people. I had no idea it would do that. It looks good, though. Anyway, this is also ginger. I don't know what kind. Came from Hawaii. This I bought years ago from a lady at a farmer's market. She said it was what you call it when it's pure and clean and all that, organic. So I've been growing it for year after year, just like you see it. Anyway, like the most common mistake with houseplants, overwatering, too much water. One of the reasons I use so much of my worm vermicompost here, and you don't really need that much, not on during a regular season, but putting these plants in the house to overwinter. With that vermicompost in there, it absorbs water like peat moss. You wet these plants down, soak them down good. You don't have to water them for a week or 10 days. So you can go on vacation and forget about them. People, this stuff is unreal. I mean, look how fine it is. Look at that. Absolutely no odor whatsoever. Now I'm going to show you something. This vermicompost comes from this right here. All this paper, shredded paper, leaves, grass, coffee grounds. I mean, and look at the worms. Well, they in there. Ooh, and look at the worm eggs. Wow. Anyway, you see all this stuff growing? That's a sweet potato. See it sprouting out? See that? I'll be dadgum. That's a watermelon. That's right. I had a watermelon rind I cut in half and threw it in there with the seeds. That's watermelon. This, I would almost bet you is corn. It definitely is corn. There's the corn right there. I don't want to disturb it. And look at the worm eggs. Uh-oh, I dropped it. I don't have an idea what half this stuff is. I mean, it just sprouts. Potato peelings. Irish potato peelings give you potatoes. Now, if it be planting season, these watermelons would go in the ground. This corn would go in the ground. Here a while back, it was sprouting butter beans. But anyway, this cardboard will decay down in there. And that real fine stuff I just showed you is made from this stuff right here. Coffee filters and cardboard. So, I mean, use what you got. Here's a little fig tree I took out of the thing before I weed eated. And here's that pepper bush. Now, that pepper bush was about 3 foot tall. And I cannot believe the peppers that bush bared. I got quart jugs of pickled jalapenos. I got pint jugs of candied jalapenos. I ship jalapenos to everybody I know. I got jalapenos in the house I just picked off this bush before I cut it down. And what I'm gonna do with this bush, I cut it way back. You can tell by the stalk. I even took a little bit off the roots. Now I got it in the bucket. Now this is absolutely pure worm castings. You see that? Looks like powder. What I'm gonna do, people, is I'll just throw a little bit of that in there. And I'm throwing a little bit more than I need. Honestly, they run tests on this stuff, and they found out literally that a cup of this stuff, or sprinkle around a plant, it'll do as much as 5 cups. It just don't take a lot. Once that fungi and bacteria starts, it's gonna go. But I really want to save this pepper plant. So what I'm doing is going ahead right now and potting it up. And I'll do the same with the fig. Something I need to clarify. I'm so used to doing this, sometimes I even forget when I describe it, I miss steps. This is after it's been weed eaten. And there was some pretty good grass roots in here. What I do first is get cardboard. Make sure all the tape and cellophane plastic is off the cardboard. And I'll cut that cardboard all in here. I'll cover it. I cover this with cardboard. I soak the cardboard with water. Then I pile the compost. The cardboard is a barrier. It'll kill the grass. It'll make the roots rot down into the ground and open the ground up. When those grass roots rot, it's channels leading into the ground. This bed's full of worms. And when I started this bed 3 or 4 years ago, I do not till. That's on hard clay. When that big tree fell and crushed my my shed that was there and tore the end off the house, they had to cut the tree and drag it through here. And that exposed all my topsoil and everything left. It's just hard clay. But that bed right there is built on solid clay. Actually, so was this one. I do not till for any reason. But that's what I wanted to say. I just want to make sure the cardboard comes first.